Hi everybody. So I decided to come on here and make this video not only for you, but also like for myself because I really want to do better at like holding myself accountable for like the things and like the things that I'm going to say that I'm going to do and the dreams that I've always had and the goals that I've always had and the work that I've always put in for myself. And I'm basically just like making this video as almost like a diary, and just a reflection of like who I am right now and who I used to be and where I see myself going. And it's not the most professional, clearly, but we'll get into all of that as the video goes on. So basically, since June of, actually probably before that, basically since 2022, my life has had a lot of highs and lows, but a lot more lows than highs. I've been through a series of abusive circumstances. I've had to come out of many abusive situations with abusive people, and I look around me now and I look at my life and I don't recognize this person that I'm looking at, and I don't recognize the world around me. And I know so much has changed, so much has evolved. The economy has changed, people's households have changed, people's households have been affected. Like everything has changed. And I just remember, like 16-year-old me just like being on top of the world, 18-year-old me being on top of the world, just like being so successful in my own eyes to the point where like no one around me could tell me otherwise, and like truly believing in myself and seeing myself as like so worthy and valuable. And I think, from not being able to finish college to being out on my own and like being kicked out of the house and being hurt and being physically manipulated, emotionally like just all of these things and these patterns that I have allowed to overwhelm me and to stress me out and to bring me down and to cause me to make poor decisions on my own behalf. And I'm just like, where did the Kennedy that I know and love go? Like, where are my people? Like, where is my community? Where is the things that I dreamed of that I had in the palm of my hand? And it's just like, I've been having for a while in my heart to like make a video and like to restart, posting and just like putting myself out there, because I think sharing my story with you all and like reflecting on my story with myself could be very beneficial for other young women who are going through a very similar situation like me. And I'll be fully transparent, I'm sleeping on the mattress right now, because 3 months ago I was strangled and in the hospital, and I was living with the significant other who had hurt me, and I had to move out and I had to find somewhere quick, and I had to give all of the money that I had to find this place that I'm in. And it's like, it's so easy to make life look really sweet and easy on the outside and to keep a smile on your face and to laugh, but like it's not always what it seems. And it's really hard for me because like most people who know me, they see me in this like narrative, in this image of like this girl who just always has her stuff together and who has so much integrity and who values herself. And all of those things are still true, but like I think we oftentimes forget that we can't control what happens around us. And in those moments where we lose control over the external world, we have to remain in control of ourselves, and we have to center ourselves. And I want to give props to myself for being able to remain centered in all that I've been going through. I've been estranged from my family for over a year now. I recently just started talking to my dad again. I started therapy 2 months ago after the situation with my ex-boyfriend. So it's just like, these baby steps that I'm taking to like heal and overcome so much like pushback and resistance that I've gotten for me trying to like let myself move forward. I have to like value that, and I have to give myself credit for doing what I can, because no one else is going to cheer me on other than myself. And going through so much and feeling down on myself and doubting myself and feeling like a lot of it has been my fault, I know it's not. I can't control how someone else treats me. I can't control people abandoning me. I can't control people neglecting me and people not showing up. But what I can control is like how I view those situations and like how I view the detachment. Because like a big thing for me has been feeling abandoned. I've been abandoned a ton in my life. And not even just now in this moment. I'm 26, and like not even just now in this moment where I'm going through this, but like even when I was younger, when life was sweet, like there were little moments where I was abandoned, or like I was cheated on, or like, I found out one of the guys that I was dating in school, he had got another girl pregnant and like literally came back and slept with me. Like it's like stuff like that. And like even the situation now with my ex-boyfriend, it's like going through so much abandonment can really, it feels like the world is trying to squeeze on my self-esteem. Like the world is trying to take, my smile and my laughter and my happiness and my joy away from me. But there's nothing that anyone can do. And like, I don't know who I need to say this to, or like who I need to give a gentle reminder to, but like what you need and what you have is already within you and inside of you. And at the end of the day, if you realize that God is going to always look over you and look out for you no matter what, you will realize that things happen in seasons and in phases. And like, I don't want to be a person that has to tell my child or my family when I get older that I was going through all the situations and how, like, I don't want any of these things to be my narrative. Like I don't want to be somebody that has to give a testimony about abuse. Like I really don't want to be that person. But it really sucks because we can't control how the outside world affects us, and we can't make people love us the way that we want to be loved, and we can't make people show up for us the way that they need to show up, or they say they're going to show up. And it's definitely a lot of emotional wear and tear. And I don't know what young lady needs to hear this, but if you're in any type of situation where you feel abandoned or abused or mistreated, remember who you are and don't be afraid to act accordingly. Like if you have to stand up for yourself, like stand up for yourself. And like that's one thing that I really admire about myself, is that like I've been able to stand my ground. Does it feel the greatest all the time? No, because that's why I'm literally where I'm at now. Because it's like you kind of have to play this like trade-off game of like, are you going to sacrifice your integrity, or are you going to sacrifice materialistic things? Like, do you want to be somebody who's willing to go through abuse and neglect just so you can have a roof over your head? You know what I'm saying? Like, it does get to that point. And like, it got to that point for me where I was like, okay, am I going to continue to be manipulated and lied to and mistreated, or am I going to rebuild this thing called life for myself on my own? And I had to do that because people will feed you a dream. People will really feed you a dream, and they will make things look very sweet and make things feel very sweet for you. And the whole time, you know, there's things like unfolding and being torn down right up under your nose, and you're not visualizing it the whole time or seeing it because, you know, we have blinders on. Ultimately, I know I have blinders on. You know, I was trusting people with a lot of very important things in my life, and so much of that trust was broken. And it's like I'm now picking up the pieces of poor decisions that I made and poor decisions that other people made because I gave them the autonomy to make them over my life. You know what I'm saying? So you have to like really sustain that autonomy for yourself and remind yourself that, again, this is your future, this is your life. You do not have to give it away to anyone who is not showing you that they are willing to ride this ride with you for the long run. And it hurts. It definitely hurts because a lot of the people that I feel like have turned their back on me are people, are family, best friends, my lover. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, these are people that I would give my life to if I could. And to know that that energy is not reciprocated, and to know that these people don't feel the same way about me, because when times got hard, or like when it did come time for me to say no to certain things, they flipped a switch. They turned their back on me and they left me alone to deal with everything by myself. And, you know, I just thank God every day that I seek wisdom, you know, like I'm not just out here like being destructive with the pain that I'm coping with, you know, like I'm in my Bible, like I'm listening to motivational videos, like I'm meditating, I'm really spiritually like getting myself in tune. Like literally yesterday I just made a vision board. Like I'm putting in the work in myself to fill my cup again, but it's really hard when people come into your life and they're like, oh, like I'll put a little in your cup, but then they end up taking the whole cup and pouring out and dumping out what you worked so hard to fill up. And so it does come a point in time where like boundaries have to be set, and like not even a boundary of like cutting someone off, because I've been a person that like I never had to cut someone off. I think people just kind of like cut themselves off in my life, because a person can only go so far into manipulation as much as you let them. And like it gets to a point where like I'm kind of just like, no, like you can't hurt me. And then they're just like, fuck, and then they kind of like run off, whatever. And that's when the abandonment happens, or like me being left alone happens. And like in those moments I'm like, wow, like how could this person hurt me? How could this person do this to me? But then I take a step back from the situation. I'm like, oh, like they had an agenda the entire time. And so you really have to have a lot of discernment when it comes to dealing with real life situations, because people really go through some very tough shit. Like I never thought that I would be in this position, like of not having life fixed together. Like I've always been that type of person of like where I've had my things together, I've been on top of the world. And not to say that it's not in the works, but it was always like you could always see it. And like right now it's not being seen because I've become so private, like with myself and my heart. And I know that I do want to open up and create a community again, and to create a community that's healthy, that won't hurt me, and that won't turn their back on me. And I know that I have to be willing and able to share my story and my process. And so this is a version of me doing that, I guess. But yeah, super short and sweet. Not gonna talk too much in this video. Just kind of wanted to like, I guess like jumpstart where I'm at now. Because I know there are women who are going through a similar situation, who don't have like the strongest support systems, and who don't have friends checking in on them, and X, Y, and Z. So Yeah, that's all for this video. Like, subscribe to my channel, I guess. And yeah, I'll be back soon. Peace.